Hi, friends. I'm I'm host Eric. Welcome to Talking for Finance People, but that is irrelevant. Can we please not have any Julies today? The Julies have been getting a little bit full of themselves. Seems like everywhere I go nowadays, I hear somebody squealing, "I'm a Julie, I'm a Julie." I'm done. Today, for the rest of today, no Julies allowed. If you're Julie, if you're Julia, or if you call yourself Jewel, Jewy, or whatever, if your name is Julie or some variant thereof, you are not allowed here today. Pauls, you're welcome back. Pauls and Gregs are welcome back for the moment. Although Paul, I've got my eye on you, Pauls. Okay. The only really reliable name is a good name like Burton. Burton is a good, reliable name. You can trust a Burton, You can't trust a Julie. You just can't.
So, the only Julie I know is from the series Felicity, and Julie dates her friend's crush.
She's an awful person, isn't she?
Yeah.
She is. Well, Julies, here's the deal. Today is the day of your reckoning. I'm calling you out, Julies. Seems like every Julie I meet these days runs up to me and says, "I'm special, I'm important. My name is Julie." Oh, I'm sick of it. When are they going to get around to having Eric Day? They've had 6 Julie days in the last 3 months.
I'm sure it's coming around. Just like trends in clothes, names come in trends.
Remember 2018 when there was 7 of the months were Paul months? That was one of the worst years for naming months,
Yeah.
This is Julie History Month. I'm not having it. I refuse to have a whole month devoted towards Julie's history. Okay? So that's why I'm opposing Julie's today. All right, Winston's mom, I'm going to let the Juliet pass in only because it's not a human being. If we're a human being, I'd say, "You're lying. Your name's Julie. Don't lie, Julie." That's what I'd say.
Wow.
Now, in order to make things even out, if you're a Judy, you're allowed to be here twice to make up for it. Great campaign message. No Julies allowed. Aw, I'm a Julie. If you pick an obscure enough name, it probably wouldn't hurt your campaign that much.
Thank you, Pete.
I just want to let everybody know I've got an arbitrary bias against Julies, just so you know, going into this whole campaign.
Thank you, Pete.
No, it depends on the day, utter self. Gregs have fully redeemed themselves by the afternoon. Earlier this morning, I was really wondering about Greg, every Greg in the world. But now, this afternoon, I see, it was the false alarm. They're having a wonderful, wonderful time now. Gregs are. Paul's, they've partially redeemed themselves. They're welcome back. They sent me gifts of frankincense, myrrh, and something else. And I was like, "Is that supposed to be gold?" And they're like, "No." I said, "Well, what is it?" And they mumbled something. I think it might have been something like, so if you can figure out what that was, I don't know. Julie Lives Matter. Anyone named Dennis deserves an apology. I agree. We're apologizing to Dennis's today. So I'm gonna edit the title a bit. No Julies. Please no Julies. Also, Dennis, sorry. Dennis's. Is that how you spell Dennis's? You put an apostrophe. Dennis's. No. You know what? The menacing qualities of Dennis have been vastly exaggerated. He's one of the least menacing people I know. Of all the names out there, Dennis is among the least menacing. Like, if nobody ever comes up to you and says, okay, welcome to the neighborhood. I just want to warn you, whatever you do, don't piss off Dennis. Nobody ever says that, right? It's always like, don't piss off Brocco. Trevor might as well wear a kick me sign. Especially if his last name is Worthington. Trevor Worthington. My name's Trevor Marguerite Worthington. Marguerite's a boy's name. It's just a family boy's name in our family. I prefer you call me by my full name, Trevor Marguerite Worthington. That's a good way to get bullied at school. Insist that everyone call you by your full name. Hey, I said call me by my full name. I don't respond to anything but my full name. Utter self is a Nordist. He's a Nordist. Okay.
Did Nordist invent the Nordic track?
Probably. I think Nordists did invent Nordic track, but the most important thing to note about Nordists is they would like to see the Nordic nations conquer the entire world. So Utter Self is a member of this group, and he's strongly advocating in his home country that Finland needs to get its ass together and start building some nuclear weapons. He's not having a lot of success making headway with his neighbors and friends, but you knew someone named Holmes? That was his first name? Holmes? Like, were his parents Cholos or something? You worked for the captain sergeant? You were forever on the lookout for a sergeant captain to team up with him. Well, I will tell you, I didn't work with this person, but my neighbor Johnny, who's now a sheriff, my ex-neighbor Johnny, he worked with this person. I always thought it was quite a hilarious name. Royal Lord III. He worked for, there was a principle of a PAU is if you work for LA County schools instead of LA City or something like that, instead of having school districts, you have PAUs. Anyway, the principal of the PAU he worked for was named Royal Lord III, but he had people call him RJ. His middle name must have been started with J or something. But
probably.
But of course, if your name's Royal Lord III, you're gonna not go by your name. You're gonna go by a nickname of some sort. You know, no one's gonna want to be called Royal. Royal. Yes, commoner. I mean, there were two of them before him, and they didn't want to break the streak, I guess, you know. It's like, but if we don't name you Royal Lord III, how will we get a Royal Lord IV? Yeah, I was thinking about a logical and versus physical possibility, right? So when we talk about things like logical possibilities or things being unconditionally true, we can find things that are unconditionally true, but they're always tautological. So, for example, I could say it's unconditionally true that if you are 11 years old, you already had a 7th birthday. there's no universe that we can conceive of in which you could have lived 11 years without living 7 years first, because you're measuring duration, which is which doesn't jump around, it's seven years always comes before 11 years. Now you could change the definition of 7 and 11. You could say 11 is this many, but it would still be the same thing. It would still be unconditionally true to the extent the definitions were right, In contrast, so when, for example, someone asks a question like, can God lift a rock? Can God make a rock so big that he can't lift it? They're saying, can God sustain contradictory premises, or can God violate tautological certainties? And the answer, of course, is, well, no, but that doesn't mean anything, because the certainties, the tautological certainties, are certain relative to each other within this given frame of reference. And so, it's not like God might be able to change the rules such that years pass slower or faster. God might be able to change the rules such that the speed of time passing changes, or even that it goes backwards sometimes. But if it were to go backwards, that wouldn't be time spent, that would be time subtracted. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And the bottom line is, if God could change the universe so much that you could be 11 years old before you're 7 years old, then those terms are no longer meaningful in that frame of reference at all. Is God a lover, a fighter, a dancer, or a scholar? I'm going to go...
I see him as a dancer.
I don't think he's a lover, really. He's not a fighter, really. After Christ was born, he really mellowed out, after he had a kid. Before he had a kid, he was a little into throwing plagues at people. But after he had a kid, he realized, okay, I don't have to be a dick all the time. Why is BHM dumb? Well, because it is. Because George Washington Carver, that's a big conspiracy. George Washington Carver didn't really create peanut butter.
That's a conspiracy?
It's a conspiracy to hide the truth. It was the Illuminati who created peanut butter.
Whoa.
Why? Because they knew that delicious treat would allow them to become the next dominant elite. Nobody can resist our peanut butter. Ha, 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 ha. Don't believe their disinformation campaigns. He also didn't invent the stoplight, okay? That was a small Chinese man. Legends Fall asks the obvious question, is putting peanuts in a blender really an accomplishment? Same thing with the stoplight, right? It's like, oh, maybe we should have some mechanism here to make people stop so they don't keep crashing into each other. Tell people, now it's your turn, and now it's your turn. It seems a fairly obvious idea. You know what, Moritz? I'm pretty sure the Black Plague was us just straight up ignoring all of God's memos. He was saying, he'd send a memo down saying, look, keep the cats. It's the rats that are the problem. They kill the cats. They just didn't trust the messages. No, and they like tape rats to their face as a magic way of stopping themselves from getting the Black Plague, but that just gave them even more Black Plague. That made their plague even blacker. It went from dark blue to dark purple to black. All because they didn't listen to the Lord, our Savior, Jesus Christ Almighty.
Almighty.
Yeah. If you want to make it a piccanoli, you got to put out the pine nuts in the blender.
Yoli cookies are delish.
George Washington actually invented the light bulb. Wow. Little known facts. We are full of little known facts today. Do you know that he didn't actually cross the Delaware? That painting's a lie.
What did he cross?
The Atlantic Ocean.
It's true.
That's true. It turns out the British had gotten off course. They were going to go to Valley Forge, around Valley Forge, you know. But they accidentally sailed back to England. And then following them, he accidentally got lost at sea. And that's when he invented the light bulb. Have you watched Endless Curtis C.S. Joseph in your daddy video? He mentions you in it, Eric. Have I watched Endless Curtis C.S. Joseph is your daddy? Yeah, I have watched that video. It's pretty good. Are babies overrated? It depends. It depends on their level of baby cuteness. So, Rachel and I were talking about this the other day. I prefer winter baby. You know, puffy baby, burn going along like that. Some people prefer like summer baby or something, but summer baby just feels to me like crying, difficulty, sand on them, sunburn. It just seems like a nightmare. So I prefer winter baby. Winter baby is clad in parkas and stuff. You can barely see winter baby's face.
They can barely move.
Yeah, they can barely move
They're
around.
so cute.
They're very adorable.
Yes, I like it. I like it like close to like snowsuit.
Right. So Freddie Ford got this question, and his best answer is as follows: are babies overrated? Summer babies are. Winter babies, no.
There you go.
That's
Yeah,
the
because
answer.
my mom likes a summer baby. My mom likes to put them in the hat and a little like duck out. I know, she does. She's like,
This is the best form of child care there is. You take your newborn baby, you wrap them up in a bunch of winter clothes, and you toss them outside in the snow.
Oh
You come back and collect them later in the afternoon. It's
I have to watch them just
it's like
stay
the snow is like a babysitter in and of itself.
Exactly.
Both an interesting national identity and a terrible rap name. Overrated baby is a terrible rap name. I think it's not a terrible rap name. Really. Overrated baby. MC Spoiled Baby is a good name for a rapper.
It is.
I want to rap right now. When I got it, I guess I know how to go and rap anywhere. He's whining all the time. That's MC Whiny Baby. He's just constantly complaining about shit on the mic. You guys aren't even a good audience. I don't like it up here. Well, yeah. Fuck yeah. Raise the roof, Whiny Baby. If you throw Denmark into the mix, you'd get an ass den. What's an ass den? Is it a place where burrows gather in the winter to hibernate? Or is it what your mom's face smells like? Your rapper name is Compliant Taxpayer? That's fantastic.
That is.
Compliant Taxpayer is a fantastic rap name. Although, really, to be a proper rap name, you should include up to all three of the following: MCLLDJ,
Hello.
Compliant Taxpayer.
Thank you, PP. Thank you.
MC, and my people call me Milk.
Morale.
Morale. When Morale tens. What a wonderful Morowertons you are.
He really is.
We love you with our emotions.
We love you with our emotions.
Have you guys been keeping an eye out to make sure no Julies come in? Remember, no Julies allowed today. Here, talking with famous people, we practice a policy of arbitrarily discriminating against people based just solely on their first name, randomly across time.
Yes,
we figure that's a good way to get everyone to understand the pain and suffering that minorities feel when they don't have their own month of history. Okay? Well, everyone understands that. The other thing is, I'm also transtradational, which means then they come down to big condition all of a sudden, and I have to tell people, love me how I am. I'm a real person. But then it'll pass after a while, So.
Daddy's so funny. Oh, PNP. It's okay, PNP.
Whoa, you sound a bit salty. Did it bitter your tea? Good question. No, it didn't bitter my tea. I haven't had any tea. I have a non-alcoholic beer, and I still have a little bit left of.
We did buy black tea today.
We did.
Yeah.
Counting tea and coffee, guess how many drink choices Rachel and I have right now? Guess. Somebody guess.
Yes, please.
Guess.
Someone guess.
Counting. Keep in mind that we don't drink any alcohol. How many different drink choices do we have, including tea and coffee? And water, of course. I mean, not including water. Water just doesn't count. That doesn't count as a drink.
Hardly drink water.
2 is a small number compared to the true number of itself. Closer. We can't make a good cup of coffee. We can't make a bad cup of coffee, Lauren Cuthbert, because we know the secret. Do you know the secret? Probably not. I'll share the secret with Lauren. She seems like somebody who deserves to be in on the secret, don't you?
I think so too, yeah.
Okay.
It's not surprising that she wants to know.
Hot Rats is closer than 2.9. So Hot Rats is definitely, you're moving up there, but it's still not large enough of a number. I'm just going to tell you, we have 12 different drink choices. 12, okay?
Yeah, so anyone who comes over, they have a choice of 12 different drinks. 2
kinds of non-alcoholic beer.
Uh-huh.
We got coffee and tea. And then we got 8 different kinds of soda. We currently have 12 different drink choices. Okay, the secret is this, Lauren Cuthbert. When you go to make yourself a cup of coffee, you might say, oh, I'd like to put something in this coffee to lighten it from its raw black nature, which is too bitter and hard to drink for me with my weak English mouth. So what you want to do then, Lauren Cuthbert, is you're going to want to choose a lightening agent. Now, some of the traditional lightening agents that people use to lighten their coffee may include milk, half and half, cream, almond milk, soy milk, buttermilk. And you might say, what do those all have in common, Eric? Well, they all have milk in common. So what you're saying, Eric, is put some milk in your coffee, right? Wrong! Wrong! That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that's where you're going afoul. That's where you're running afoul of the real truth. You need to live, love, and learn every day of your life. So right now I'm making a new pot of coffee. When this pot of coffee is done making, I will show you the secret, Lauren. Okay, you will know the secret. You will be part of the club then. And you'll be allowed to come to level 3 meetings. If you work your way up to clear, eventually you can be as important as Tom Cruise.
Wow. It's so important.
My new Scientology approach to talking to famous people. Hey, everybody. So from now on, we're only talking Scientology, okay? Nothing but. Boy, do I love that Scientology. Let's see here.
I think it's so okay. I was listening to some like law of attraction, like magical thinking stuff, and they brought up a quote by L. Ron Hubbard. Is that the guy who invented Scientology?
Uh-huh.
Isn't that like that's like it bothered me
What?
that like they so like
Who brought up this quote?
the person who was talking about like magical thinking, as in like what we put out we get back sort of stuff.
I mean, I'm sure L. Ron Hubbard said some things that weren't terrible, but I will also say that L. Ron Hubbard was not just like some sort of crazy guy who started Scientology or something. He was first and foremost an incredibly bad fiction writer. Like, shockingly bad. Like, how did anybody ever publish any of his books is beyond me. He's possibly the worst fiction writer I've ever read. His fiction is so terrible.
That's good to know.
It reminds me, in terms of quality, the only other thing that struck me as that terrible was the Percy Jackson books. These kids' books.
Yeah.
Like, they got popular after Harry Potter.
Uh-huh.
But were
not
orders of magnitude worse. Like, just shockingly poorly written books.
Yeah, they were.
So the only two authors I can think of that I've gone like, wow, how did this get published? It's so poorly written are L. Ron Hubbard and the guy who wrote Percy Jackson books. I can't ever remember reading like published books before that were, like the person clearly had no idea what they were doing. Normally that wouldn't get past the publisher. L. Ron Hubbard was a pedo? Well, that's probably why he lived his life on the high seas, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Away from legal restrictions. That's why they have the Sea Org, It's so that they can get away from legal restrictions. I mean, the thing is, I read it as an adult, but I've read plenty of kids' books as an adult. I don't necessarily prefer adult books or adult stuff made for adults necessarily. Like, I've watched so much anime most kids' books are much, much more well written than Percy Jackson. I taught a lot of like fifth grade English where you read things like Bridge to Terabithia. Bridge to Terabithia is a great kids book. It's super sad, but it's super powerful anyway. I could not finish reading it out loud to the kids without crying. Percy Jackson is autism ADHD inclusive, is it? I haven't seen the movie Freddy Forgiato. I just read the book. But oh my god, that was a tearjerker. It's like the books they have kids read. Like also Who Knows Where the Red Fern Grows? That's that book.
Oh.
Jesus Christ. It's such a strange old-fashioned book. It's about a boy who's got a couple of dogs and who's determined to basically kill as many raccoons as he can. And at one point, he trees some raccoons up the tallest tree in the forest, and then he chops down the tallest tree in the forest to get the raccoons down so his dog can kill them. And this, I remember as a kid loving that book when we read it in like 6th grade or something. When I read it as an adult, parts of it anyway, I was like, oh my God, this book is fucking horrible in its general like message about shit. Its message is terrible. Its message is just like, that the fact that this boy is out there slaughtering all the raccoons in the forest is something that, you experience his moral ambiguity about it a little bit on a few occasions, and his respect for the dying raccoons and stuff. And that we're just supposed to ignore the fact that he's out there just killing a bunch of perfectly innocent raccoons and chopping down the hugest tree in the forest in order to make sure he gets those fuckers. And that his somehow, pseudo-intellectual justifications of it in the book are make it okay. It's just terrible. It's not okay. It's a terrible fucking book. It's a good book, but it's a terrible message.
Would you like a yogurt?
No, but I would love any kind of beverage.
Cool.
I mean, I liked Toy Story quite a bit. I liked Toy Story 2. I liked Monsters Inc. Okay. I seen most of those things because they were coming out around when Delilah was little, or also I had a stretch time when I worked in rooms, like special ed rooms with kids as a sub. Like when I was a sub, I used to show movies all the time, If you're a sub in special ed, it's pretty cushy because you go in there and there's additional staff in the room besides the teacher. So you just go in there, they got good assistants and they got a good classroom set up. Then you just ride through the day just deferring to the assistants. It's fantastic. But anyway. When somebody loves you, everything is beautiful. Yeah, I really enjoyed The Incredibles a lot too, Hembo. I loved that movie. But that song from Toy Story 2, I think it is, it's got to be the saddest song in the history of the world. That scene, when Jesse is singing When Somebody Loved Me. Oh my God. Talk about heart destroying. When did Pixar jump the shark? Pixar's not a show. Pixar's a production company. Shows can jump sharks. You might say, I can't think of a good example, but when I stopped watching Backy began by jumping sharks right off the bat. Just ridiculous nonsense. I don't know. We'll find out, Lauren Cuthbert. We'll find out which soda she brings back for me. I mean, I think I saw Pixar. Did they do Wreck-It Ralph? I saw that not that long ago. Is that a Pixar movie? Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah, it's Pixar.
That was pretty good.
Do we have any spoons?
Oh, I put all the dishes in the dishwasher.
Oh, they are? Okay.
So if you want to grab a couple of fresh spoons, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Through the summer and the fall, we had each other, that was all. Na-na-na-na-na. Oh, it's not Pixar? Hi, Bargret Fargret. Nice to see you. How's your Fargret doing? Is it Bargreting again? Margaret Fargret's actual name is Budget Fargret. But people get it wrong so often. Did you say Margaret Fargret? It says no, Budget Fargret. Well, it's hard to sustain. You know, when Pixar came out, they were doing a new look of animation that hadn't really been done before, and it was quite striking. Margaret Fargret's not a Julie or a Dennis. Okay, I'm pretty sure of that. She's a Margaret or a Fargret, but she's not a Julie or a Dennis. Margaret Fargret is here. We haven't seen Margaret Fargret in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
Well, ever since she realized her true name, she's found a lot more excitement in her life. As she's gone about introducing herself as Margaret Fargret, you know, people do a double take. What? Are you the Margaret Fargret from Talking with Famous People? And she'll say, no, my name's actually Budget Fargret. You're on an MBTI dating app. How funny is that? The problem with MBTI dating apps is they don't date people properly. I mean, they don't type people properly. They assume the person's telling the truth about their own type, right? But you're gonna get, if you go to try to date an INFJ, for example, you will get nothing but ESFPs. Cars 2 sold out big time. I mean, can a company like Pixar really sell out? I mean, aren't they as sold out as they could possibly be to begin with? Hi, Hambone's mom.
Hi, Hambone's mom.
Hello. How are you? How's Washington? The thing is, it would be a good idea to sort of I should probably ask everybody I type at the end of them. Say like, okay, listen, if you're single, do you want to put it on this list? And then if you say yes, I put you on this list, and I hook you up with somebody eventually, and you end up getting with them, then pay me $100.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of nice. Then it's like there's no obligation for anybody. But if I had enough of a database of people, but of course you got to maintain such a thing. It's such a pain in the ass, You got to have some sort of automated system to deal with that shit. Why just 100? Because I'm not good at maximizing profits. That's why. I feel bad about the whole idea of maximizing profits in general. You will hear me advocate in favor of capitalism all the time, but I'm not particularly capitalistic, which is to say, I don't prioritize money as much as I should.
We live a more metaphysical life.
I mean, right now we're afforded the opportunity to work little and be, liquid. So why not, I guess?
Yeah.
It's like, here's the thing. If I had a lot of money, it would be good, primarily just because I wouldn't have to worry about money. But if I had a lot of money, I know I'd probably get more spendy as you get more money. So it never really seems to solve the problem,
Yeah.
Now look, Lee Trimmer, I've done some online dating. And I can tell you, I had at least some success meeting some people. Uh, it's a good place to practice being likable to women, right? Like, also, this community helped me construct my OkCupid dating profile page, and so it was pretty good, pretty effective, because I had multiple people helping me with deciding what to put and take off and leave in and stuff. I didn't feel like I knew exactly what was gonna play with the ladies, so I got some feedback from some actual ladies and from a little ESTP input, a little INFJ input, and pretty soon you got a pretty tight looking little dating profile page, right? And the other thing that I did is I figured out a very effective trick that apparently really nobody uses, which is this. I say to them, hey, I'm getting off work at 6 o'clock or something, let's say. It says what city they're in. So I look up a restaurant near their city or in their city where they're in. And I go, hey, I'm getting off at 6. I'm going to have work at 6. And I see you're in Meowtown. If you'd like to meet at Meow restaurant that's in your Meowtown, I could be there by 7, and I'll buy you dinner. And the thing is, if you say that to a chick, what they end up doing is it's effective because it's effective in 3 ways. One, it puts a ticking clock on it. So if they see the message, they're going to feel a pressure to respond to it before the time stated in the thing. Number 2, they're not going to actually take you up on it. So you don't have to actually run over there and go to take them out to dinner that night. But they will offer an alternate day. Well, how about Wednesday or Thursday? Because nobody does that. Nobody just asks them out straight off the bat without even a hi or anything. Hey, I'm getting off at Meow. Do you want to go out and meet me at Meow's clock? And it works. Works really well.
When did you discover that as something being effective like that?
Only once I got an OkCupid. So prior to me having frustrated day where I said, that's fucking it. I am tired of not having any chick, and I'm tired of looking for a chick, and God, it's frustrating. And then I said, come on, help me make a dating profile so I can get chicks. And people did. And then that came out of my butt.
I love you.
Your FE blind spot says it seems like manipulation. It is manipulation. But it's not to manipulate a situation is not to do something bad necessarily. It's manipulation in the sense that I am putting the ball in her court in a way that makes it very likely for her to hit it back rather than, because it demands action. And most chicks on those dating apps, just like dudes, hate the endless back and forth. Oh. Hey, how are you? Hey, you want to chat some more? It's like, no, I want to either meet you or not. I need to meet you, have dinner with you, and determine if you're adequate or not. And if you're not, then I'm done with you. And if you are, then maybe we'll go out again or whatever, right? I don't want to fuck around with a bunch of hey, sup, hey, girl. Yeah. But the thing is, I ultimately didn't find my person on OkCupid, even though I found success getting chicks to go out with me on OkCupid. So I did find success in that regard. I had plenty of interest for people that I tried to hit up. And I had my age range from 30 to 50. So it's really, if you're my age and you're down to date women your own age, which I was, and I just didn't want to date anybody who was, because at that time I think I was 47, or maybe 46, I don't know. But I knew I didn't want to date anybody who was 50 or older. But I was willing to give 50 a try, but I ended up, putting a fair amount of feelers out into the 40 to 50 range. Those chicks are easy to to get to go out with you. Those chicks are really easy. It's a whole different ballgame than when you're like 20 something and you're trying to get thoughts to go out with you. 40 to 50-year-old women. That's, it's a perfectly acceptable demographic when you're that age too. But the sort of dating economy is completely reversed. It's no longer like the chicks have the power, right? Should I say this in front of Rachel? I was just talking about shit that happened years ago. Rachel and I spend all of our time together. We're basically together 24/7. It's not like there's no, if this relationship that I'm currently in with Rachel weren't about as perfect as a relationship could be, I don't think we could. I don't think we would have lasted this long, because we spend a lot of time in fairly tight quarters and we just do not rub each other wrong. I never find myself irritated that she's around, and hopefully she doesn't feel that way about me as well.
Oh, it's so pleasant. I feel very lucky.
If you pretend to be someone you're not, the other person might be disappointed later. Right. Well, I agree with that. Not Tony will paddles, but I wasn't pretending to be anything I wasn't. I was taking an approach that tried to control the communication between the two people. So I had learned that if you approach it without a clear frame at the outset, it's like this weird, am I still talking to this person? They haven't responded a couple of days. What are we doing here? So then once I determined that, well, you just got to take the frame by the balls. You say, fuck getting to know each other first. I'm asking you out first. And then if you're at all interested, you're going to have to hit me back some way with something positive beyond just, hey, you're going to have to provide an alternate date, time, or something like that, So, and I just wanted to clarify for Rachel that Margaret said, should you talk about this kind of stuff in front of Rachel? I have to say, Rachel's very confident. The thing is, there's kind of a double standard here. Like when I talk about my past relationships, I do so generally to exemplify a point or something like that. And yet, when she talks about her past relationships, depending on what she's saying about them, I will likely have bad feelings. Interestingly, I don't feel bad when she says like good things about her previous relationships. I feel bad when she says bad things because I feel bad that she suffered, and
That's how I feel about you too.
because I didn't really suffer. I didn't suffer that much. It's like in previous relationships where I had some insecurity or just needed to be more, confident that I was the center of her romantic desire. It probably would have been the other way around. But in this instance, I just feel a sense of ease because I know it's like I never felt so loved by anybody as I do by Rachel. And I've had people right here say, like, you just look at Rachel and see how much she loves you, which is nice. It's I don't know how important it is to me really to feel so super loved, but it's probably why I don't really, like, it wouldn't bother me to hear Rachel sharing happy stories from past relationships. I'm past that point where I'm worried about whether I'm going to compete with some memory or even some potential future other. But when she talks about sad stuff about the BPD guy, I understand how that can express in ways that the new boyfriend doesn't want to think about, right? So that can sometimes make me have a bit of a double standard where I talk about my past relationship, but I get my feelings all hurt or something when Rachel talks about hers, and then she feels like she doesn't really have, the ability to express herself as freely as she should, I would imagine, which is unfortunate. So I don't, when I feel bad, I don't say anything, but she can always tell that I'm not, it's something she said made me feel bad. But it's never anything about me or makes me feel comparatively less or weaker. It's more like I don't like to think of Rachel before Rachel, like, unprotected in the world, even though it's infantilizing somewhat to say that because, of course, she can protect herself. But I don't know. It's a complicated issue. The point is, yes, it's a bit of a double standard. I talk freely about my past relationships and never even think as to whether it bothers Rachel. And she has to kind of watch herself a little bit because I get my feelings hurt sometimes.
Yeah, no, it doesn't really.
It's just, sometimes people have different needs, there's a lot of things I don't need anything from Rachel for, right? Like I don't really need her to do these tasks or help me with this like caregiving or anything. Like, maybe I needed some of that at first when my mom was still here, but I prefer to not require things of her and for her to just be happy and not stressed out at all. Thank you, Lauren Cuthbert. I do write my own songs. Yeah.
You make it easy for me to have that kind of lifestyle. I like it a lot. And, like, I'm very secure. I mean, I'm, like, any sort of, like, question with anything, I always bring up to you. But, like, I feel very loved as well. So, it's...
What's important to me is that I don't give Rachel any cause to feel unsafe because she has none. I mean, there's kind of an implicit power differentiation because of circumstance, but there's no power differentiation between us in reality. And I like to make sure that she understands that to the extent that she's worried about me leaving, I'm just as worried about her leaving.
I really would like to kiss you right now.
I do not have a gun. Welcome to come kiss me. But my dad has a gun, and so there's a gun here. I've got a gun in the closet. The 22 bolt action rifle. And we've got my dad's air pistol too, which is a BB gun that he shoots sometimes. I mean, the thing is, the people that get blocked, Lauren Cuthbert, is probably the same person getting blocked 3 times in different accounts. All right, so unfortunately now, the 22 bolt action single, it's a 1 bullet at a time gun. You put 1 bullet in, you go like this, and then you shoot it, and then you pull it out, and you put a new bullet in. So you can only shoot 1 bullet at a time. Anyway, that's the only gun we have at our house besides the air pistol. And I'm not into guns. I don't dislike them exactly either. So I wouldn't be totally opposed to getting a handgun at some point, but I am not at all in a hurry to do so. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I need to have a handgun. I guess sometimes you might need it to defend yourself or your family. I mean, it's one of those things where, do I really want to live in a society or treat life in this society as something that I need to be prepared to use deadly force to defend myself at all times? You know, it's like, it's true that, like, let's say you get caught off guard and shot by a robber and die because you were too shitty with your gun and fumbling it around and stuff. Well, I mean, to make sure that doesn't happen, I'd have to genuinely put some effort into being a good gun user. But the chances of me actually having to use a gun are very, very small. I mean, it might be the case that I have to use it to defend myself, but even if that were the case, it's more likely that the person is going to render me unable to use the gun before I'm going to be convinced that I'm justified enough in using the gun. So it's like there are very few circumstances. I'm going to err on the side of not shooting, right? There are very few circumstances where I'm going to feel like I am cut and dry, clear enough. This is a threat to my life that I'm justified in using deadly force and self-defense. Very hard to even conceive of a circumstance in which I feel that way. Accepting some sort of home invasion, you know? I do have a hammer, that's true. Okay, I gotta go because I gotta take Rachel to the what's it called? The lab place that takes her blood and sends it to the doctor or something. Quest Lab, that's what it's called. Yeah. All right, so we got to split. See you later. Love y'all. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese.
That's nice.